There are different types of trusts for different types of asset protection. Hi, I'm estate planning attorney Mike Smith with Smith Barid LLC, and I'm one half the estate planning guys. So clients come to us about asset protection all the time, and there's two kind of main categories that folks fall into with respect to asset protection. The first one is what we would refer to as elder law. So folks come to us and they say, hey, I'm anticipating that I'm going to need nursing home care down the road, and I want to make sure that I can qualify for Medicaid to help pay for that. And I want to protect my assets from the government coming, to see my kids after I've died and asking them to repay, what Medicaid has paid on my behalf. And so in those types of situations, we create irrevocable trust for clients that we can put their assets into. And I think of that as a bucket with a lid on top of it. And then we have a back door on it. So that type of Medicaid asset protection trust is designed in such a way that it doesn't count as an asset of the grantor for Medicaid purposes. The grantor is the person that sets the trust up. So it doesn't count as an asset for the applicant for Medicaid, but we have a back door on the trust so that the client's children or some other trusted individual will be able to access the funds, the assets in that trust, and use them for the benefit of the people that set it up. The trustor, the grantor, trust maker, we use different terms for that person that creates the trust. So that's one type of asset protection planning, and those types of trusts can be used for Medicaid planning. They can be used for VA planning as well, so planning for the Veterans Aid and Attendance benefit. So that's one type of asset protection. So if you're interested in learning more about how we help families protect their legacies from probate, predators, and government intrusions, I wrote a free book titled The Ultimate Gift that lays it all out. If you'd like to pick up your free copy of The Ultimate Gift, simply click the link below, give us your address and a credit card for shipping and handling fees, and we'll ship it out to you free of charge. Read The Ultimate Gift so you can learn how to protect your family. The other type of asset protection trust that clients come to see us about is they have assets that they want to protect from potential creditors. So for example, might have an entrepreneur who owns a bunch of real estate and is concerned that someone maybe gets injured on one of their properties, has a fall and is injured, or maybe there's some other kind of incident where someone winds up getting injured on their property and they're concerned that they're going to be sued and that potentially their assets are going to be subject to that judgment. So that's the other type of asset protection that clients come to see us about. And when we talk with clients in that category about asset protection, we always stress that it's sort of a ladder of asset protection, and it begins at the bottom layer with having the right type of insurance in place and making sure you have adequate coverage. So you want to have commercial business insurance that will cover the business. You want to have property insurance to cover real property. And then you want to have a personal liability umbrella that's a relatively inexpensive type insurance that you can add to existing coverages and will provide additional money to help cover any potential claims. So the first thing that we tell people to do who come to see us about asset protection is go see your insurance agent and make sure that you have adequate insurance coverage at every level. The next step up the asset protection ladder is entities. And so we can structure business entities for the client that will offer asset protection. So typically we're going to use an LLC in that kind of situation. And I think of an LLC as a bubble. And basically when you create an LLC, you put a bubble around those assets. And so if you put that real estate inside of the LLC, then you've just put a bubble around that real estate. And if something happens with regard to that real estate, it stays inside the bubble. So that liability stays inside the bubble. So it can't get to your other personal assets that are out here apart from that bubble. And, if we have a real estate investor who owns multiple rental properties, then we'll set up separate LLCs for each property, and that will protect each property from liability on the other properties and protect other personal assets from liability related to that property. So that's sort of the next level in the asset protection ladder. And then the next level up from that is what's called a domestic asset protection trust. And that is a type of trust that it's called domestic because we use U.S. jurisdictions for that. And there are different states who have laws around asset protection trusts that are beneficial. So some of those are Nevada, South Dakota, Alaska, Tennessee. There are others, but those are, some examples. And those types of trusts are, under state law, have certain protections that are afforded to the assets inside of them. They're a great way to protect assets. The one thing to know about those is if you set up a domestic asset protection trust, you may decide to use a jurisdiction like Nevada, for example, which does not have income tax, so there's not a problem there. The one thing to know is that I always tell clients, domestic asset protection trusts, if you don't live in that jurisdiction, they're still a viable tool, but they are merely a speed bump, a roadblock, if you will, that increases the likelihood that some creditor is going to negotiate a better deal with you on resolving the claim. The reason I say that is that if you create an asset protection trust in Nevada, but you live in, let's use Alabama, then there's a possibility if you're sued in Alabama that the court in Alabama would decline to apply the law of Nevada to that trust, and that it might not work as well as it would if you were in Nevada. That is a risk with domestic asset protection trusts. There is no case law out there that has really decided that question, but it's just something to know about domestic asset protection trusts. They have been very successfully used for decades, so we have some clients that want that protection, and with the understanding that it may just merely be a roadblock, we will set up domestic asset protection trusts for them. Now, there's another layer above that called foreign asset protection trust. That's not something that our firm provides, but I just want to make sure you know that that's out there. And there's certain jurisdictions like Cook Islands, the Bahamas, where they have created these types of trusts that offer additional asset protection. There is a string of federal cases that have decided that basically those types of trusts don't work. That doesn't mean that, it won't work for you. It just means in these other cases they haven't worked. So I'm always, if clients are interested in that, we refer them to attorneys who specialize in doing foreign asset protection trusts. And we always caution them, be conservative, be wary about what you're doing, because there are some cases where these foreign asset protection trusts have not worked out the way that it was intended. So those are different types of asset protection trusts that we help clients with in different situations. So if a client wants to plan for nursing home care, asset protection trust might be the right way to go. Or if they're trying to protect assets from predators and creditors, then there are certain types of asset protection trusts that we can set up for them. If there's anything we can help you with, reach out. We're glad to help you with setting up your own asset protection trust. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, then take a moment right now to subscribe by clicking below and turn on the bell notification so you get notified every time we post up a new video. Right now we're posting 3 videos a week with lots of information about various estate planning topics, so you're going to want to make sure to stay on top of that. Click below to subscribe and click right over here to watch the next most relevant video about estate planning. Go watch it now.